Hello, hello. Check, check. Mic check. Hello? 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 When does this song end? Oh my god, that's when it ends. Push the button. Oh my god. I was like, I knew the end of the song was coming, but like, man, it just jumps up on you and it gets you right in the buns. What the? Who was messing with this? Somebody was messing with this. Which way do I gotta go? This way? Hold on. Somebody was messing with this. And I'll give you one guess. Who was messing with this. Yeah. Okay, there we go. We fixed it. We figured out when the end of the song was. We know what's going on. We know what's happening, right? It's Monday. September 23rd, 2024. What's up, nerds? What are you doing? What's going on? What's happening in your neck of the woods? Right? You're supposed to tell me. I can't guess because you're supposed to tell me. Oh my god, my voice is already getting weird. I wasn't sure how well I'd be able to stream today. Because I woke up yesterday realizing that I had contracted the back to school cold that all of the kids have communicated to each other. It invaded my body and it's given me a cold. And I will say, okay, hesitantly, very gently, very apprehensively, okay, lightly, just with a smidgen of, so far, this is the best cold I've caught in a long time. That meaning, it ain't that bad. But I did wonder how well my voice was going to hang in there today. That was ultimately going to be the top tier question of the day for me was like, how well is it going to hold up? Am I going to be coughing? Am I going to be making weird noises? The chances of me making weird noises are very high, as always, right? But cold related noises like coughing and sneezing into the hot mic, as it were, is always a bit much. But we'll see how it holds out today. But so far, this is the most favorable cold that I've caught in a long time. Like, I just don't feel good, right? Like, I don't have tons of boogers or anything, but you could tell like something's wrong. You know, it's not crazy bad. I'm not like coughing a million times. I just kind of feel garbagey, if that makes sense, which is not great for a busy Monday, because, you know, are you going to be able to get all of the Monday things done? Probably not. Also, I'm probably not going to be able to get all of the Monday stuff done because of the title mentions that the wife's away. I'm back to single dad for the next little while. Being a single dad, you know, is being a single dad's not great. And I would say that being a single mom is somehow better or something. It sucks. It sucks balls. Shout out to all the single moms and single dads out there. Shit sucks when you're by yourself and you don't have anybody your support, right? You know what I mean? Like you don't have your other half, the yin to your yang, the light to your dark, or the dark to your light. I don't know how that works for you guys, but I don't have the other human, the other adult to help me out, deal with our child, who is 5, a rambunctious 5, and we'll see how it goes. Should be fine, but it just really cuts into all of the other time that things need doing. I don't really understand how somebody's. I don't understand how somebody's a single parent, and you work like 50 hours a week, and then somehow you're a single parent on top of it, and you got to like drop them off at school and all this shit. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And a friend of mine posted, a boomer friend of mine posted about on Facebook. It's one of the reasons I stay on Facebook. People wonder why I'm still on there. I stay on there because of all the boomer friends I got. Mainly because of that. But he posted that childcare in the United States is actually, I wonder how he put it. Let me check. I'm gonna look it up. He worded it pretty well. I don't want to misquote him. Yeah, here we go. The cost of childcare is an economic crisis in America. Can someone explain to me why we haven't incorporated it into our public schools? I have no expertise, so this may be naive, but couldn't we create a low-cost daycare / preschool in our elementary schools, funded through local and national governments, staffed by professionals, and incorporated with community colleges' early childhood education students? Grandparents could even volunteer. Yeah, and I mean, from that that little snippet there, that they posted, it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't understand how it's 2024 and all of the boomers and everybody couldn't figure out how to incorporate childcare into America, and then now they're all these piss baby boomers, these air quote conservatives, are crying about the replacement, right? The birth rates in the United States are dropping dramatically, right? And you wonder, like, why is that the case? Well, it's $1,600 a month for us to send Olivia to daycare, right? It's $400 a week to send Olivia to daycare. Now that she started back at school, but here's the problem. The school day isn't even as long as the work day, right? Olivia's school day is 6.5 hours long. And I don't know about you, but there are very few jobs out there that just let you leave early and still get paid, right? Like you'd be like, well, sorry guys, it's 2:30. I gotta go. My daughter's going to get released into the wild and she's 5, right? There's not a whole lot of companies that will let you do that. Like, you just leave and then be like, yeah, well, that's the day, you know? And also the problem is, she has to get dropped off at there's a 15-minute window that she has to get dropped off between 8:55 and 9:10. So when I drop her off in the morning, I get there early. So we're just there, and then the first bell rings, so we walk up to the door when the first bell rings. But absolutely absurd that we're in the year 2024 and we haven't got this shit figured out. That, like, the boomers allowed us to be put into a situation, right? They allowed us to be put into a situation where both parents have to work to afford to survive, right? And then now they're pissing their pants because they don't have a bunch of grandkids, right? And you're like, what do you want me to do? If I had 2 kids, we'd be homeless, right? Just to pay for daycare. So yeah, why is it the case that we have that? I mean, first off, you got to talk to previous generations. They completely failed to even address any of that. And on top of it, they just went, "Oh, private businesses will handle it," right? Oh, don't worry, private businesses will handle it. Capitalism will win out, you know. So yeah, it's just one of those weird, wacky, bizarro things. So because her school day isn't long enough, we have to pay for daycare for the end of the day. She basically gets picked up by her school bus from the daycare school bus, and then goes back to daycare, and then we're able to pick her up at like 5:30, right? So it's ridiculous. So even if I worked even if I could start work at like 9:30 after dropping her off, I still would have to leave in order to get her from the daycare by 5:30 because you can't stay there after 6 o'clock. It closes. Yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of a weird it's kind of a weird situation, but I don't know how we got here. I don't know how we got here, especially on a day like today where the wife has to go out of town because of work stuff, and then on top of it, I catch a cold. I don't feel great. And then on top of that, we don't even really have a school daycare situation that even makes any sense whatsoever. But here we are. We got a $10 super chat from Witchy Cat. Broke as a joke, but glad to play anyway. I wonder if my super chats will work today. They didn't work last week, and they don't look like they're working this week. Used to be able to open up this part of the screen over here, and then I could gift memberships. But it doesn't seem like I can gift memberships today because this just spinning wheel just goes around. I showed you guys this last week, right? Check this out. It's just the wheel just goes spinning around like that. Which then what do? Do I just click the spinning wheel until I don't know. I guess click the spinny wheel, maybe. I wonder if I close this window. Will it work if it's not in the pop out? No, that doesn't work. Oh, I don't know. This shit don't work, man. Welcome to YouTube. These guys got billions of dollars and they can't even get their app to work. You know? The damn app don't even work. Why does it do that? Because I come down here and then I click on this and then it's just a spinny wheel. I don't get it. Oh, I wonder if I could do it from mobile. But why would it work from mobile and not from desktop though? That's crazy. But then now I have the spinning wheels permanently there. Okay, so we have to close the chat, and then I got to pop out the chat again. Okay, there we go. Here we go. Then I got to turn off top chat. I have to turn on. Man, they're not making it more intuitive. I'll tell you that. They're making it less intuitive and less functional. So who knows? I don't know. But we got a $10 super chat from Witchy Cat. Thank you very much. With the green room open? There we go. I'm in the green room. In case anybody wants to call in, if you're on our Discord, you can join the green room and talk to me with your mouth hole if you want. Let's see. But yeah, we got five gifted memberships from Skog Shrimp and stuff to Night Owl Aquatics, Ozark Aquatic, Genu, Lady Guinevere, and Peplin Creek Aquatics. That's cool, man. What's up? Thank you. I appreciate it. Skoglin is Steven is the man, and he's gifting you guys memberships, so you better do some good with them. Once you've got them, do some good with them. I think a lot of websites are trying too much to make things more functional for mobile than desktops, and it's just messing everything up. So what was explained to me from a web developer that I was talking to was one of the reasons it's so difficult is that there's so many different phones, right? So like every single thing that you want to do, you have to do it for every single phone that is out there. That is what was explained to me, and that's the way that I can explain it really quickly, is that like, you know, a Samsung 15 versus an Apple 12 versus Huawei whatever, you know. It's that's the reason, is that there's just so many different phones, and then they have to program it for all of those phones, otherwise it won't work right. So my understanding is that's like the big giant problem, is that there's just so many phones that they have issues programming for every phone. Witchy Cat says, does Lady Guinevere... Lady Guinevere, haven't seen her here lately. I haven't seen Lady Guinevere in a while. I'm not sure what's going on. She used to be in the streams a lot. Yeah, she used to be in the streams a lot. I don't know. You'll have to ask them. That's the problem. You guys ask me, where did people go? And I'm like, if they haven't told me where they went, then I don't know. So that's the issue. Witchy Cat was first to the chat. Alyssa Bentley was second. Recap Harris, otherwise known as Sarah Baker, was third to the chat today. Maybe Alyssa said maybe Frank is here, but being sneaky boy. It's possible. It's possible. He is, as we all know, he's an attic dweller. So sneaking is generally like modus operandi numero uno. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the main function of people that live in the attic, right? Attic creepers. That's like their number one thing. That's what they got to do all the time. Joel G was here with the membership. Okay, what is that? With a membership comment here. It's a member for 34 months. So it's got this one, then a clownfish, then an arrow, then a sad. Okay, the sad face, but then like sick vampire face, then like I don't know, and then hands over the head, and then like a cat, and then a thing going, and then a lot of symbols, and then followed by a fart. Okay, so agreed. That's the thing. That's what I would say to that comment. Agreed, dude. 100%. Alyssa Bentley, so something needs to suck to remove something that blows. Wait, what? Lexi V said sup. What's up? I am working on getting a siphon hose connected to my water catch basin. Can't just rely on overflow water changes. Sometimes things still need siphoning. Detritus is gross. Indeed, detritus, it's like functionally gross. Like that's like its main characteristic, right? Is that detritus is just gross. I mean, it's like it's trash. It's poop trash, you know? Like nobody likes it. Although one of the funniest things that I saw was if you guys know, I used to work for the Aquarium Co-op. I don't work for them anymore, and I don't have anything to say about that. But when I worked there, I drained one of the tank systems into a 4-inch pipe, right? And something caught on the edge of the lip there. And then over months and months and months of water changes getting dumped in there, little detritus eventually filled that 4-inch pipe. So they called me to say that there was a leak. It was flooding. So I came, and that 4-inch pipe was completely stuffed full of detritus. So I just cleared the clog and got rid of it. But A 4-inch pipe over time got completely clogged with detritus. Let's see. Might have been during my away period. What's that? Sadly, I don't recognize any of those names. Might have been during my away period. Well, let's see. Lady Guinevere and Jen Yu. I recognize them. I've talked to both of them. Peplin Creek Aquatics. I've never seen that before. Ozark Aquatic sounds familiar. Night Owl Aquatics sounds familiar-ish, but yeah. Lady Guinevere and Jen Yu, I definitely recognize those names. Fish Fam Link says, consider sending a super chat or super sticker to help support the channel. Okay. The bot is here. The bot is here. We don't know where the bot comes from. The bot is called Fish Fam Link, and it just cometh. You know, it just shows up and it reminds people to do stuff. Join as a member for exclusive benefits and support the channel. Oh my God. True that. Speaking of supporting the channel, if you guys want to support the channel by doing something that you already do, which is AKA shop on Amazon, because whether you want to admit it or not, you probably buy stuff on Amazon. And I will tell you, it did happen this month. Somebody did buy a dildo. Thank you guys. Somebody bought a dildo on the commission report. I don't know who it was. I have no clue who it was, but thank God it's on there, because I was starting to lose faith in humanity. I was like, I haven't seen anybody buy a vibrator in a long time. This is crazy. You know what I mean? And I was starting to lose my mind. I was starting to lose my mind. But if you're not into the vibrator scene, we did find these boar hair brushes for fish tank cleaning last week. There's a link in the chat. If you want to go buy stuff through Amazon, just go through the link and then buy stuff on Amazon. Yeah. So, yeah. But I was starting, like I said, I was starting to lose faith in humanity. I'm like, there's got to be enough perverts out there to be having a good time, right? But they seem to have disappeared, and I'm like, I'm starting to lose faith. I was like, oh my God, maybe I don't know anything I thought I knew, right? Like, maybe I know nothing. Maybe I'm like Jon Snow. I'll be like, what? And they're like, you know nothing, Jon Snizzle. And but it turns out, faith in humanity restored. Faith in humanity restored. Recap Harris has a good point here. I can't imagine the quality of something like that coming from Amazon. Hope it's not electronic. Might be afraid to get shocked, but that might be considered a positive as part of the pleasurable experience. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have the apparatus to test that. I don't know. So I don't know. Maybe technology someday will illuminate me on some of the aspects of I don't know. I guess shock therapy, vaginally. I don't know. Vagina shock therapy. There we go. Yeah. Needless to say, right? Needless to say, I appreciate people buying stuff off of Amazon through the link, because we get the advertising commission. If people wonder what it is, what's the advertising commission? Well, when you click on a website, we'll go back to Facebook, because we were at Facebook before. So people will post shit up on Facebook that you click on, right? And then you click on that, and it stores a cookie in your browser that this was the person that sent you to Amazon. Then that person that sent you to Amazon will get the advertising commission from you going there and buying stuff, right? And then there you go. It's just like when there's an ad on TV and you go and buy something, and then the computer's tracking you, you know? They make electric toys for boys. I am aware, but I don't partake. I don't partake. I feel like if you like that kind of thing, he's already an electrician. True. I guess that's true. Oh, that's a good point. Or we've bought quality toys that we don't need to replace. That is a solid point. That is a solid point. I mean, if you spend big, you know what I mean? You get quality product. I remember seeing videos of your 240-gallon tank several years ago thinking that's my dream tank right there. Now I finally got it. Well, congratulations, Shamu Aquatics. I've got a 120-gallon right behind me. It looks small because it's back there, right? The 240, I still have it. I cleaned it up, and then I stored it outside. So one of these days, I'm going to find a cool project to do with the 240. Right now, in this space, it just would take up too much space. So I have a 120 here, a 120 behind it. Then those tanks. I don't know what those tanks are off the top of my head. I'd have to put a tape measure on them and measure them, and then I would know. But that'd be a really fucking boring part of the show if I was like, hold on, guys, I'm going to go over here with a tape measure and measure tanks and then tell you about them. They're smaller than 120, I'll tell you that. But the slight issue I'm having with setting these little buggers up is that I currently have my my dehumidifier. You can't see it, but like right here, if you were to look straight through the aquarium, the dehumidifier is sitting back there up on this stand right here. I have to do this like, this is hard to point at stuff. I'm like flipped around and I'm flipped around. It's weird. I don't know. It's bizarre. But this stand right here has the dehumidifier on it up there. And it's I just have it draining into the tank right now because I couldn't figure out like a good drain for the building out here because I don't have a drain anywhere, and I didn't have anywhere I could like cut one in, if that makes sense. So I'm currently just using it that way. I've got a plan in the future to put it elsewhere, but I can't implement that right now because I'm busy trying to make money instead of fucking around with fish room stuff. Remember, even boring content can be livened up sans pants. Hey, ain't nobody got time for that. The OnlyFins material? Yeah. Yeah, I'm just saying, it's a part of the live stream. If I got to point out that like people are buying toys off of Amazon, you know what I mean? It's something that is a part of the anyhow, sorry. I have a different chat that is getting spicy. That's down here. Somebody was getting spicy in this chat. It sounds like All Out Warfare is going to be coming soon. Coming soon to a chat near me. Or you. Whoever it may be. Now is the time on Sprockets when we dance and text. Yeah. Well, I also have to have my phone open here because I'm not 100% sure if and or when something may or may not be happening. I'm the only parent right now. Okay. And last week the daycare got mad because Olivia was she wasn't feeling well, which makes sense. I caught her cold, and it makes sense that she wasn't feeling well, and they were like, you better come get her. And if that happens, I need to have the phone right there. So that's why I have that open. But that's the reality of life, isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it, kids? What was the other thing? What was the other thing that we needed to talk about today? Trump. I don't know if you guys saw. When was that debate? Was that debate last Tuesday? I think the debate was last Tuesday, wasn't it? Oh, maybe it was 2 weeks ago. I don't think you guys saw. When was that debate? Was that debate? Oh, sweet mother of squirrel. You're playing back into the feed. Okay, there we go. What's up? Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Doctor?
Hello?
What are you doing?
Squirrels.
What are you doing?
Sitting here enjoying a lovely day outside.
Oh, is it lovely over there? It's not very lovely over here. It's overcast and raining.
Not a cloud in the sky.
Well, prepare yourself.
Oh, well, yeah, I know. 68. It's very nice.
Oh, that's nice.
It's not completely perfect. The flies haven't all died yet. We've got another couple weeks, I'm afraid. But other than that, it's good. Eastern Washington's fly epidemic continues.
Well, that's going to be forever. I mean, if you got those cows around, you're going to have flies. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, about October, they all go away.
Yeah.
It gets too cold, but we're not there yet. Anyway.
No, I was saying you got cows, you're going to have the flies. That's where they're... That's I don't know if that's completely where they're coming from, but that's where a lot of them are coming from.
Yeah.
Like, that's how that goes.
So I'm sorry, I interrupted a Trump question. Was that?
I was trying to remember if the debate was a week ago or
it was last weekend, last Friday, or last Tuesday, Thursday, Tuesday.
Was it last Tuesday? Okay. I was trying to remember because there's some really like fucking nonsensical shit going on in relation to just how ridiculous those the nonsense that Trump's been saying. Like that people are eating cats and dogs, like people are eating the cats and dogs, and like no matter how many times people have called the city of Springfield, the police, the city managers, the mayor, first off, there's no reports of anybody's pets gone missing, especially in regards to anybody eating them, to like hunting people's pets and eating them. There's no reports of that.
Supposedly, Vance admitted to making it up on State the Nation.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting. That's what I was getting to that.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
There's zero reports, unfounded, completely unfounded. Secondly, all of the people there, especially the people from Haiti, not Haitian, which recently Trump was saying that they're from Haitian. Haiti is a country. They're from Haiti, and they're legal. They are legal immigrants. And then I've seen a bunch of people that have been talking about how Kamala Harris did something illegal to make them legal. She illegally allowed them to come in, and that now they're legal because she illegally allowed them in, which is bizarrely fucking stupid. The city of Springfield was losing out on the young people to come and work, right? As illustrated by something that I mentioned earlier today, it is financially irresponsible in a lot of areas of the United States to even have children because of how fucking costly it is. Would I like to have 3 kids? Hell yeah, I would like to have 3 kids. Could I afford it? No, like cue the tiger guy meme of I'll never financially recover from this, because there's the reality of either I would have to pay like $1,600 a month per kid to be in daycare, or B, one of us would have to stay home. Either way, that's financially like irresponsible. That's a financially irresponsible situation. That's basically untenable, right? Like, okay, so one parent has to stay home and not work at all. Well, the conservatives in this country have eliminated unions, have eliminated every worker's right that they could possibly find under the sun. They've eliminated as many aspects as they possibly could of people earning enough money for one of the parents to stay home. And then here we are. Well, the city of Springfield said, we need people to immigrate. We need people to come work, because you can't just go, hey, we need people to work right now, and then hopefully everybody goes home and just starts having sex, and then we wait 9 months, and then we wait 18 more years, and maybe there's some more workers. Like the best case scenario, that's a 20-year window when people are going to show up to work. If you need people to work right now, guess what? You need to get adults from somewhere that can come and work a job, right? Well, Haiti needed people out. People needed to leave Haiti, essentially. And this was an opportunity for them to move. And so far, everything has been smooth sailing, other than some anecdotal moments of people having sort of differing cultural aspects or whatever. And obviously a lot of them do speak English, but maybe language is an issue and whatnot, but cultural issues have come up, but realistically nothing to make a national story about it. But as we go down the line, it turns out that some weirdo boomer posted some bullshit on Facebook, and a weirdo wannabe boomer, J.D. Vance, just believed it because he read it and then decided to start sharing it out. And because he's a vice presidential candidate, people took him seriously, which is, I would remind people to take caution that just because somebody is sharing something doesn't mean it's true. But because he was the vice president, the guy who's running for president just believed him and ran with it, which I would say is a singular reason to never vote for Donald Trump. If you're that much of a gullible retard that you can't fact check the dipshit that's running with you as your vice president, you're just that gullible. You are not qualified to be president again. And by the way, what happened to the other guy who was his vice president? What happened to that guy? That guy's gone now, right? Does it have something to do with the fact that he riled up his weirdo cult base in the creamy center of the Oreo, right? To go riot at the Capitol, injuring tons of police officers and a bunch of other people, and which they built a what do you call it? The hangman platform. What's that thing called?
Oh, Jesus
gallows.
Christ, now I've lost it. Yeah.
They built a gallows because they wanted to, and they were chanting "Hang Mike Pence." Well, the guy who was his vice president before is gone now, and says there's no reason for you to vote for Trump. And yet here we are. And yet here we are, where a bunch of people are stuck with all of this this bullshit Trump gear that they bought, the clothing and flags and stuff, is insane. And we're just out here living in bizarro world, realistically. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I think I mentioned this on a live stream before, but I'm going to mention it again, because this is going to stand out in my mind, and probably a lot of other people's minds, that this is the modern day version of the Scarlet Letter. And if you guys have never read the Scarlet Letter, you should go and read it.
Don't watch the Demi Moore version. It's horrible. Okay, going on.
Yeah, don't watch the movie. Just go read the book. Just go read the book. Don't be lazy. But anyhow, this isn't the Scarlet Letter for adulterers, but these people with all this like bullshit Trump gear all over their house, I'm going to remember those houses and be like, I don't trust that guy. I don't trust that guy that lives there, right? Because he could fall for the stupidest shit, the stupidest line of shit, and then invest money in it, time and energy, and like putting all this crap up all over his house. and just how much of a fake conservative they actually are with their big ass "fuck Joe Biden" flag on the front of their house. We're like, I'm a good Christian. It's like, what? Like, what do you mean you're a good Christian? You got a big "fuck Joe Biden" on the side of your house. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? So, I think it's the modern day equivalent of the Scarlet Letter. And you know, if I wasn't going to out myself, I would drive up the road and take some pictures of this place. That's like a farmhouse out the way. And the guy's got a big billboard out there that he puts stuff on. If you guys are familiar with this, if you live anywhere in the rural areas of the United States, there's every once in a while there's a wingnut that puts up a big giant billboard, and then he writes all sorts of insane shit on it, like, you know, bear the reaping of Jesus when you're burning to death, you know, because you're a sinner or whatever, you know, all this like crazy nonsense. And
like the babies you killed.
That's right, you're killing babies. Here's a picture of a fetus, you know. And
Jesus knew my name before I was born. Those are my least favorite. I always want to paintball those. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, paintballing is temporary, so you might want to figure out a different. If you're gonna go Project Mayhem, go something more permanent, you know. And if you don't know what Project Mayhem is, go read Fight Club or watch the movie, because if you've never seen Fight Club, you might be the straightest guy in the world, but you're probably going to get super horny for Brad Pitt's abs in that movie. I'm telling you, they're amazing. I don't know what to tell you. I don't want to touch a guy's abs, but I kind of want to touch Brad Pitt's abs in Fight Club. Like, is that real? That can't be real. Turns out it was real. It was just fucking crazy. But anyhow, Project Mayhem is the weird thing that they do in there in that movie. But if you're trying to go full Project Mayhem, paintballs aren't great because it's all biodegradable, so it'll all just wash off. And or I guess maybe if you're just trying to send a message out, I guess, or something like that, I guess it being biodegradable is a good thing. I don't know. It could be a good thing.
Yeah, I have to. Well, you know, it's very Washingtonian, eco-friendly, but I do have to stay in the community, so maybe permanent damage isn't the best of my choices.
Yeah. Shamu Aquatic says, Trump has turned the Republican Party into a joke, and I can't believe people unconditionally believe the nonsense he says and support him. All hail our Lord and Savior, Donald Trump. Yeah, actually, I think the reality of the Republican Party right now is that we all wonder how people would follow Hitler to the depths of hell, right? And when I say we all, I just mean like anybody who's a rational thinking person living in the 21st century of like, hey, your brain works. Like how did that happen? How did the Third Reich, how did that happen? Why didn't people freak the fuck out? You know, realistically, when you start to look at the numbers of people that were jailed and all that kind of stuff, you know, gulagged and, you know, sent to concentration camps and all that kind of stuff, you start to realize like, oh, I think that a lot of people did freak out, but they overwhelmed them and or they left the country, right? Which is another thing that I would like to remind to any American out there that, like, if by some bizarro world reason that Donald Trump wins this election, leaving the country is not the answer to that problem. Staying and fighting is more important than running away. But if you always wanted to move away, maybe that is your time. Maybe that's your time to move away. I don't know. I hear Portugal's nice, and in fact, they got like the biggest aquascaped aquarium ever in Portugal. So that sounds like a good deal to me. If you could visit that, let's talk about some inspiration. I was unable to make it there when I was in Spain because I got COVID, which is weird because I'm sick now and I was sick then, and these kids got germs is what I'm saying. These kids got germs all over them.
They're little infection bots.
And it's tough. I'm telling you, it's tough. It's tough with these kids. They got the damn germs all over them. I don't understand what their problem is. They should clean it up. That's all I'm saying. And the GOP has started to bring back child labor. Yes, actually, managed to pass in a few states bringing back child labor, which is fucking insane. Yeah. My Skog Shrimp and stuff says I earn just enough for Shannon to stay home, but I have to work 65 hours a week. Yeah, that's the thing. And I think Shannon does web developing, like web design. Doesn't she do like graphic design at home too? So I think, although maybe she's not doing a ton of it these days, but I thought she was before. So I thought she had kind of a stay-at-home thing. Alyssa says, my baby sister couldn't afford to put her 2 kids in daycare when her work tried to make her go back into the office. So now she makes fancy cakes from home and has become the breadwinner. Which, that is awesome, by the way. That is fucking amazing. Talk about the silver lining to a cloud, right?
Right. Yeah, it's more and more. If you can have something that you can do at home that doesn't need you in the office, that's going to be the only way to be able to afford to do it. Something you can step away from and nobody's standing there helicoptering you saying, you must stay at the desk. So.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the companies are forcing people to go back. Like Amazon just released that everyone's going back. Mm-hmm. Yep. Amazon is like, everyone's going back to the office, which is weird because every report that I've seen, like all of the intercompany reports, all that stuff, they all say that everyone's more productive being remote workers. The productivity is way up. And also one of those things that I would always like to point out is that, you know, the years and years of me commuting hours and hours that are unpaid hours, right? It could just completely butt fucks your day into oblivion, you know, because you go like, oh, I work I work a really long day. I work 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You go, okay. Oh, you work a 12-hour day. It's like, fuck that. You work a 15-hour day because you got to get up. You got to get up 2 hours before you leave. Hopefully you have time to like take a shower and pack a lunch real quick. Run out the door, sit in the car for an hour and 45 minutes, make it there barely at 6 o'clock, then work a 12-hour day, then get in your car and drive, another hour and a half to try and get back home, plus the wear and tear on your vehicle, plus the gas you got to pay for, the insurance you got to pay for, all that shit adds up, and you're like, what are we doing here? You start to live a day, and I can tell you from my own experience, you start to live all these days where all you do is work. That's the only thing that ever happens. You wake up, you go to work, you're at work, then you come home, and by the time you're home, you fucking fall asleep, and then you get up and you're just back at work again. And I don't know about you guys, but that just is a fucking painful experience. And just to realize that like your life is passing you by, doing that shit is intense, you know. In the meanwhile, your fucking dipshit owner or CEO or whoever you got going is, you know, taking a 4-hour lunch break after doing nothing all day, complaining about having answered some fucking emails or whatever, and buying another boat or another brand new car or whatever, and not even worrying about it. So it's a weird world we're living in, and I also it's bullshit.
Yep. Well, and then you were talking about death of the unions, you know, Boeing employees losing their pensions. That's just, oh boy. It's going to be interesting to see the hit that takes.
Aren't the machinists still on strike?
I believe so, but yeah. It's strike season right before Christmas.
Yeah, the machinists are still on strike. Yes, the machinists are still on strike. One of my neighbors is a Boeing machinist, so he's been on strike for a while now.
Up by Payne. Yeah. Yeah, when I used to live down in that area, it was always, this time of year is always fraught with tension. Seattle in general.
Yeah, because when they did the vote, they actually had to go to Safeco Field to get everybody all into the same place to vote all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they voted 95% of the machinists union voted to strike.
Yep.
So 5% of people were like, "No, this is good." We'll see how long that strike goes, but you know, a lot of people over the years have had a lot of things to say about Boeing, and I will say, when Boeing moved their headquarters to South Carolina, you immediately knew like that was the downfall. That was the downfall of Boeing. Like it was going to slowly but surely be beholden to the shareholder capital, be beholden to 100% whatever the investors want. They're going to do. They're going to start to cut corners. They're going to start to cut benefits. They're going to start to cut shit, which that's what corporations do when they're not held accountable. That's what they're going to do over time, and we're starting to see the effects of it now. Because it being such a such a large company, large corporation, it's taken time. It's taken time. And on top of the fact that, like, airplanes are such a high-quality product that essentially it's taken this long for them to really start falling apart, right? Like when the doors fall off.
Yeah. Right. And then they can't. Yeah. It's a bad time for Boeing to be making these kind of crappy decisions, but it is what it is.
Okay, so Skog says, yeah, she does that, but it's a little slow at the moment. Yeah. You have Republicans, and then you have MAGA crybabies. Almost every Republican who criticized or challenged Trump ended up being called rhinos and losing their political careers. It's a cult. Yes, it is a cult. I do know a lot of lifelong Republicans that are pretty reasonable people, right? I know a lot of them. I know a lot of people that are that way, that are very reasonable. But also, I know a lot of them that were lifelong Republicans that have gone completely off the fucking deep end. They're crazy. They're crazed. I mean, they're crazed, and they're believing just insane nonsense, right? And it's just the same as, it's just the same as essentially like not believing in the moon landings and all of these conspiracy theory nonsensical things. And it's unfortunate because the expectation is like, oh, I have an expectation that I've known this person for a really long time, and they're going to be, like they're going to be a sane person. Yeah. And it turns out, nope. And, it's really off-putting, to be honest with you. And it makes me sad.
Has it cost you friendships?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, for sure.
Like face-to-face friendships. I don't mean social media style, but okay.
Yeah, actually, one of my oldest buddies that I've known since I was 4. He basically listened to, Dory Munson is. He's a local talk radio commentator guy. Yep. He would listen to Dory Munson while he worked at the machine shop, and I've known him for years and years and years, and I would constantly get into these little arguments with him about shit that he would hear on the Dory Munson show, which was just made up stuff, essentially. Mm-hmm. And it was really causing like a problem in our friendship. And some other people basically got a hold of me, and they were like, hey, what's up with this guy? And I'm like, I don't know. He listens to talk radio, and he just believes everything that he fucking hears. He has fucking brainworms, Like, you work in a shop, and that radio is just blaring all day long, and that stuff just seeps into your brain of like, oh, somebody authoritatively said that somebody's eating the cats and dogs in Springfield, right? And they're illegal immigrants, right? And you just hear that 40 times a week, 50 times a week, 100 times a week, over and over and over again, then all of a sudden you just start believing in it, right? And the thing that clued me into it was he was talking to me one day about the interchange between I-5 and Highway 16 down in Tacoma. That project, that road project in Tacoma has been going on for a very long time. It's been going on for decades. They've been rebuilding the Interstate 5. If you're not familiar with Interstate 5, it goes from Mexico to Canada, Canada to Mexico. It is a big giant road. It is a interstate, which means it's a federal road. It's 6 lanes wide on either side going north and south, and they're constantly building down there on that interchange. And the thing that clued me in was he was talking to me one day. He goes, those guys building the interchange, one end of it they were doing metric and the other end they were doing standard. And so if you go out there, there's a part of the road that just goes off into nowhere that like hangs out over and just goes nowhere. Like there's no other ramp to it. Like it's the road looks like an exit and then there's just the end of the road, right?
Oh, Jesus.
And if you drove down it, you just go shooting off into the air, like whatever that
like a Bugs Bunny Wile E. Coyote cartoon.
Yeah, what was the 2 ladies that went in their
Thelma
car?
and Louise.
What's that?
Thelma.
Yeah, like Thelma and Louise. You'd go flying off into the Grand Canyon and die. So I was like, that is fucking weird. Like, I don't understand where that would come from. So I went to go look it up. I went to go look up where the story was coming from. So I find out that Dory Munson has been talking about how, oh, these guys, they don't even know how to build roads, and they're out here building roads, and somebody was doing metric and somebody was doing that. Well, with my idiotic brain, right? With my brain that doesn't even work all that good, right? I go look at the building project and the phases of that building project. And it turns out, if you look through the phases of the building project, it highlights that piece of road that does go off into nowhere in phase whatever. I don't remember exactly what the phases were. It's 28 phase thing, right? But one of the early phases was to build that piece because they were building right next to it for a different part of the road that went off this way. Well, build this part because you're here, you're already working on that part. But then like phase 15, they're building from the other end and then they're going to connect to that, right? So somebody who is an engineer, who probably was a team of engineers, a ton of people, planned all this out, figured out how much everything was going to cost, all the building materials, blah, 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 blah. There's plans for everything. And on the public side, you can just go look at it, right? So like a dum-dum like me could just go look at it and go like, oh, that's what's happening. Well, lo and behold, a couple years later, that road comes from the other side, connects, and now it's an interchange road that you just go up and around. Well, having looked that up, I went and talked to that guy, and I was like, where are you hearing this shit? Because the only place I could find it was this Dory Munson guy, and he was like, oh, yeah, Dory Munson. I listen to Dory Munson all the time. That guy's fucking great, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, my God, okay, that's what it is. I did recall reading about the effect that Rush Limbaugh had on the American population. There was a thing I was reading about that a long time ago, that they were concerned about the effect that Rush Limbaugh had because he was broadcasting on airwaves, right? So there was basically no way for anyone to really capture what he was doing every day, right? Like somebody had to like set up a tape recorder and like literally tape it, right? Or whatever. Like I'm broadcasting on YouTube right now. You can just click through and figure out what I said whenever, and it'll just be up there, and you could always just go click through and, oh, this is what he said. He's an idiot. I hate that guy, right? But what people were concerned about is that they had these captive audience of people sitting in cars saying, oh, I'm a conservative, so I listen to Rush Limbaugh, and the crazy shit that he was saying all the time. and no one ever rebutted any of the stuff that he was saying. It's just this constant stream of insane nonsense coming from these guys. And like Alex Jones is obviously like the next incarnation of Rush Limbaugh. And he operates the same way. He operates under the exact same MO, right? Of like, I just come out, stream of consciousness, do a bunch of shit, make up a bunch of stuff, be sensational, and just make things up. Like the moon landing is fake, right? Now, every once in a blue moon, those guys are correct on some random thing that they say, and then they use that as their like their proof of that all this other crazy shit that they say is true, right? And it's ridiculous, you know. But yeah, I mean, from a personal level, I mean, that's a guy who I was friends with for like over 30 years since I knew I was a little kid. We went to kindergarten together, went to first grade together, second grade, all the way up. Known that guy forever, and he's also fallen into the alpha male thing of Andrew
Tate bullshit.
Well, it's not necessarily Andrew Tate, but it's sort of the red pill world of that. Like women are out to get him, and you know, women are hypergamous and all this fucking bullshit. Like Jordan Peterson, these fucking creeps.
Yeah.
Which is insane. You know, it's just, it's all fucking insane. It's all characterized on playing into men's insecurities, right? And just so that they could take their money. It's essentially what it is, right? Like, let's play off of these men's insecurities. Let's tell them that, like, these weird things that they're thinking about are real. And verify the weird things that sort of testosterone sort of fuels inside a man's body, right? And then tell them, and then stroke their ego, and then get their money, right? That's basically what it boils down to, right? And it's the Joe Brogan effect, right? Of like, you know, guys in their 30s or whatever that they felt sort of picked on in their lives. They've had a couple of relationships that maybe didn't work out all that well,
right.
And
of course, it wasn't their fault.
Well, yeah, of course, they weren't a contributor. It wasn't their fault. It didn't have anything to do with them. But then what they do is they go take a couple of jujitsu classes. Suddenly, somebody teaches them how to give an arm bar to a willing participant, and suddenly it's like it's off to the races, right? You know, and Jordan Peterson is a perfect example. He was just on Bill Maher the other day, being categorically fucking insane. By the way, Bill Maher is also insane. Like, yeah. I don't agree with Bill Maher on pretty much anything. I think he's a fucking crybaby piece of shit. Although I do agree with him on some things occasionally. He's an absolute crybully. He like constantly is like, oh these colleges, it's all these fucking leftists and the wokeism and this and that, and it's like, what are you talking about? How is like college suddenly your biggest problem? And then realistically, you go to find out, oh, these guys would get paid, you know, $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 to go do speaking events at colleges, right? And then colleges don't want them to go do it anymore because they're like, yeah, we're tired of hearing your stupid shit, and none of the 18, 19, 20, 22, 25-year-olds want to hear some 70-year-old multi-millionaire talk some fucking boomer nonsense while he's half drunk on stage, clinking around a glass, talking about cigars or whatever. Like, nobody wants them to do that anymore. So when they lose all that money, all of a sudden, you know, oh, the colleges are woke because they won't let me come make a whole shitload of money doing zero work, right?
Right.
And it's ridiculous. It's absolutely.
He proves that the right are not the only ones who go from somewhat sanity to completely insane. Because originally, he was pretty on target. I mean, he was kind of setting a course where he might have followed Carlin to some extent in his comedy sort of satire, and then he just went off the rails.
Well, I don't fully believe. I don't fully believe that, because I think if we were revisit some of his older stuff,
Okay.
I think that he was like sort of on point for the time, right? Which is like, which is sort of like somebody having the opinion that slavery is bad during slavery, right? That you're like, oh wow, some
The obvious is strong.
yeah, some fucking obvious shit. Oh wow, look at you, you're a pioneer, right? You know, and I think honestly, at the time, there were so many issues with the world writ large, right? As to what was fully going on in the United States at the time, that it was like, oh, you could be kind of open-minded and suddenly you're like a big deal, right? And I think that's what he was riding on for so many years, of like, oh, like I'm not a piece of shit to gay people, so I'm obviously an advocate for them, right? And it's like, that's not the same thing. Like, you just not being an asshole to a certain group of people
doesn't make you an ally.
Doesn't make you an ally. It just, yeah, I mean, it just makes you like a guy who's there, you know, and not being like a total psychopath. But I think that he, for many years, he was just riding on that, realistically, of like, oh, well, I'm not completely out of my mind about certain things, so I must be like an avatar for truth or whatever, you know. And he was also doing the like politically incorrect thing, you know, for years, that like, oh, we're gonna edgelord TV, you know. And it's like, okay, like, you know, like what big thing are you gonna bring? What big thing are you bringing to the table as far as?
We're gonna cuss and tell the truth.
Yeah, you know, it's like, what's the big thing that you're bringing to the table that is so paramountly important by like doing this show, right? Like doing that show, like what were they doing, you know? And I think realistically, like if you go back and look at it now, and like watch some of those old shows, it was like, oh, you just found some comedians and then they would come on and say some things. That's basically all it was, you know.
It's a hardcore version of whatever that show is on NPR, where they get the comedians on and do the news, which I can't think of off the top of my head. So here's a question for you. You have people in your life that you've lost due to all of this. You've watched them change. Is it because these people, Munson, Alex Jones, all that crowd, is it because they give people an outlet for their outrage, do you think, that makes them so easy for these people to grasp on?
Well, I mean,
or do you think these people really believed all this bullshit beforehand?
Well, I think I highlighted on part of it, like earlier, is that let's just envision a human, and we'll make them male and female, right? And they're in their early 30s, mid 30s. Let's say mid 30s, 35, right? They've lived in the United States. They're not married. They've had a few relationships. Things have happened. They haven't worked out. They don't have a family. They don't have like a big community. They spend a lot of their time going back and forth to work, commuting, doing all that shit, trying to do everything by themselves, right? Like, if you live anywhere near a city, your apartment is probably $2,000 a month, right? That's a significant amount of money, plus your car payment, plus your insurance, health insurance, light bill, phone bill, buying a new phone every, 24 months, whatever. Like, you start to just add all this shit up. Like, those people that are essentially either by themselves or at the very least feel like they're out on an island, right? Like, they might be in a relationship that they don't have a lot of closeness with anymore. But realistically, I think a lot of these people that have sort of lived through their lives and then realize that whatever they excuse me, what they've had going on this whole time really isn't all that spectacular, right? There hasn't been a lot of, well, there just hasn't been a lot of like Mount Kilimanjaro moments, right?
Right.
Like it's just, you're just living this life. And when you're just caught up in a cycle of doing that and doing that and doing that and doing that and being in that for the entirety of your life, and then somebody comes along and goes, hey, I know a secret about something, right? It turns out the moon landing is fake. And I keep bringing up the moon landing is fake because Joe Rogan even mentioned it last week. He was talking about how, oh man, the moon landing is so suspect and this and that and the other thing, but he's just making shit up, which is ridiculous. Well, I'm saying I'm bringing up the moon land. I could say flat Earth. I could say whatever, but like I'm bringing up the moon landing.
I don't understand how you can listen to Rogan. That's all.
I don't. I listen to critiques of his.
Okay.
I listen to the synopsis of his show, right, on Fast Forward.
Gotcha.
But last week, one of the things that he was talking about was the moon landing was fake. Which, by the way, he was talking to Matt Walsh, who was an insane, probably fucking Russian asset, considering we're finding out how many people are like on YouTube and shit are taking Russian dollars to be disruptive, right? So you got to think, like, we're finding out all these people are taking foreign money to be disruptive, to be a disruptive like content creator essentially, right? And to be out there and be like talking about flat Earth and how the moon landings are fake and shit like that. And I say Joe Rogan because he's like at the top of the food chain, but I could mention Russell Brand, perfect example of like mysterious monies coming in to like keep his show going, right? And then people go, within the last like 2 years, a bunch of people came forward because of like sexual assault allegations against him by a guy who is an admitted sex addict, right? And you go, he's an admitted sex addict. He's an admitted substance abuser, right? And then for people to have come out and be like, yeah, this guy abused me in the past, blah, 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 this and that. And then him to be like, oh, this is the liberal media is against me or whatever, and they're trying to cancel me or this and that and the other thing. But like, where's his funding coming from at this point? You know what I mean? So like with all of that going on, there is a bunch of people that I sort of highlighted earlier. And like I said, I'm just saying somebody that's like 35. They could be 25. They could be 22. They could be whatever. But they're just sort of going through this, like, I've got a job. I go to my job. This is pretty much the whole thing that I do all the time. Then I come home. And when their home life is just a fucking bummer, right? Like, this is really the only way to put it, is like, it is a bummer. And so from a personal standpoint that I can relate to is that a lot of the guys that are my age and a lot of guys that are my age over the years, decades and decades and decades, it's like, what do they do when they come home to an empty house after just work? They go down to the local bar, right? They go down to the local bar. They sit down there for a couple hours. They drink some beer. They get some shots. They get whatever. And they sit around with the same type of guys. And they just talk shit about whatever, like, nonsensical bullshit they heard about on the radio or on Facebook or from Trump or this or that. And it just solidifies that, oh, this must be true because this is what I'm talking about everybody with. Or that's what I'm talking to everybody about that I'm around. Right. This is what I'm talking to them about. Right. And it's like, and I bring up like faking the moon landings because I've heard that so many times at bars when I used to drink in the past. There's always guys at the bars that are like, everything's a conspiracy. Like everything is this, everything is that. Right. And like I said, the funny part of it is like it's lacking a relationship, right? It's like lacking a relationship with peers, right? It's lacking relationships. It's lacking in community, right? Most people in America like don't have a fucking clue who their neighbors are, right?
Right. Now,
They
that one I
see them,
agree with.
they've seen them. It's like, oh, that guy drives the Camaro because I see the Camaro drive by or whatever once in a while. But like most Americans don't know their neighbors. Like most people aren't like friendly with their neighbors. Most people aren't like doing stuff with their neighbors. So like I said, even in my neighborhood, there's where I live, there's like a biker bar down the road that like there's some sus shit going on out there every day. But I guarantee you, if I were to go in there, it's the exact same guys in there every day. And there's a local Chinese restaurant that's I don't know 5 miles from here that used to have a lounge in it, right? And we started going to this little Chinese restaurant because it popped up on Google search that was like, oh, it's an old school kind of Chinese restaurant. And I went there, and I was like, oh, this is like the Chinese food that I remember when I was a kid. Right. There used to be a local Chinese restaurant, and this place is like the food is really close. So you look in the back, it's like there's Chinese guys cooking around woks and stuff that look like they're about 1,000 years old. You're like, oh yeah, it's the same old guys doing the same old menu. So we keep going there, but they are transitioning from the older generation owning the restaurant into a younger generation of the same. It's like kids of the owners are slowly have slowly been taking over the business over the last couple of years, and it was funny because I was like, oh, their lounge was closed one day, and I was like, oh, you guys like remodeling or something? And the lady was like, oh no, and it kind of became a mystery, but then about 6 months ago, or maybe less, maybe 3 months ago, we'd gone in there enough times that the waitress was like a little more open about what was going on. I was like, what's going on with the lounge? I thought you guys were like remodeling it or something like that. And she's like, no, we just use it for storage now. So they just put all their dry storage and all that stuff in there. And I was like, what's up with that? Why did you close the lounge? And she's like, oh, well, it didn't make, it made money. I was like, hold on, stop. I think I know what was going on here. So my guess would be that every day you had like the six or seven of the same guys that would come in, and they would put money on the bar. This is what old guys do, by the way. They go into the bar, local lounge, then they have X amount of money. They've decided that like maybe their allowance for the day is $35, maybe whatever. They lay that money down on the bar, and then the bartender makes change out of that money throughout the day until they run out of money.
Right.
And the gal was like, she was like, you described exactly what it was like. The lounge was the same guys every day with the money on the table, just talking shit to each other. No new customers. It wasn't bringing any other business, but they had to have somebody there, right? So somebody had to work to serve these basically like retired guys, right? Like it's like the lounge, the lounge of that bar or whatever just becomes the community area for these old guys to come and like shoot the shit.
Now that
and
you don't find VFWs everywhere anymore, and you don't find Eagles clubs anymore. They have somewhere to go, and it's the Chinese lounge. Apparently.
Well, those are around. The Eagles and the VFW, they're still around, but most of these guys probably got kicked out of there. I don't know. I don't know. But it's one of those things that like, but those people, you got to think if that's
that's all you've got in your business.
No, I think like if that's 1 out of 20, right? Oh. Or like 1 out of 25, that's still like what, 25 million people or something? So 350 for, let's see, 4 is 12, 16. So yeah, let's say if it's 1 out of every 16 people in the United States is sort of that experience, that's 25 million people right there, right? And those 25 million people are probably influencing another 25 million people, right?
Right.
And then you start to go like, well, how many people are like MAGA people, right? And you go, probably like 40 million, something like that. And then it starts to sort of make sense that you're like,
right, it snowballs.
There's all these people that are just fucking stuck. And on top of it, they think they know something, right? Like humans inherently want to know, right? Some kind of secret, Is Jerry sleeping with Sarah down the street? Is the
Are there aliens at Roswell?
Are there aliens at Roswell? Is the Earth actually flat? I'm just saying, like, people want to know gossip. And the reason I say people want to know gossip is, like, I watched a football game yesterday. After the football, the local news came on. Headline story, oh, my God. Homicide suspect was killed on the freeway, so the freeway is backed up, blah, blah, blah. But, like, there's reporters on the scene. There's this going on. There's that going on. Oh, my God. There's, like, why is the freeway fucked? And it's, like, because the police chased somebody who was a shooting suspect. They chased him on the freeway. They gave him, like, a pit maneuver to try and stop them from running away, which they crashed their car. And then the guy shot himself in the car on the freeway. So you got a dead guy. You got the police. You got fucking all this shit. So, of course, the traffic jam on the freeway. But this is going to be headline news,
Right.
That's why I say, like, people want to know what's going on. They want to know about the train wrecks. They want to know about all this stuff. And when they feel like they're holding on to a piece of information that other people don't have, it makes them feel special. It really does. And this is my opinion why religion is so effective at ruining people's lives, ruining communities, extracting money for whoever's at the top of that weird religion to extract all the money so they can live an opulent life. And if anybody ever questions me about that, just go look at Joel Osteen's fucking 100,000 square foot mansion. He owns airplanes. He owns airliners. He owns airliners in the name of Jesus. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? But
well, and any of a number of mega churches for the
but my
Baptists where they're like, God told me I need an airstream.
But like, I'm not to rag on the churches, but what I'm saying is, like, the connective tissue here is that people in churches think that they know a secret, that there's an afterlife, that there's Jesus is in my heart, or whatever it is. They think that they know a secret because they can't reproduce any kind of soluble truths as to why it is what they believe, and they require people to have faith. Just have faith that it's true, right? Most of these people believing in the moon landings are fake. It's just having faith that you know that they're fucking lying, right?
Right.
And it's the exact same thing, right? And you go, like, it's people preying on this human nature, right? It's this human nature that we have that evolved over the 100,000 years it took us to evolve. It's part of the human nature that has evolved, and I don't know how people are necessarily going to break free from it. Like, I listened to a couple of audiobooks about, like, getting people out of cults, about how to get people out, what was the one book about, like, Scientology, like getting people out of Scientology? It's the exact same thing, right? And these people are in the cult. And the unfortunate thing is that, like, you can't combat these people with facts or information or argumentation or any of that stuff, because it only makes them dig in harder, because it feels like you're trying to get them out of their in-group, right? And the unfortunate thing is that, like, we have to treat these people like children and give them a soft landing, right? Of like, hey, yeah, you can come back. It's all, come back. Let's be friends again, that kind of shit. And that feels fucking alien. That feels super alien to me, of like, these adults fell for some of the stupidest shit I've ever heard. and then now I'm supposed to be the adult. I'm supposed to be the adult in the room both times. Like, this is fucking wild, man. But also, it's the same thing as like having a kid, right? It's like I'm supposed to be the adult on both ends of the child tantrums, the have to set boundaries with the kid, but also not be like fucking outrageous. You know, like you have to be the adult on both ends. So like,
Right.
you know, if we're talking about these people in the United States that are feeling that way, and maybe they had kids, maybe they're just shitty parents, or maybe they never had kids, right? There are a ton of Americans that just have never had kids, especially ones that are like my age, you know, and the opportunity is expiring for a lot of people that are my age to like have kids, right? If you're a 44-year-old woman, the chances are slim you're going to be able to have a kid, right? And if you haven't had one by now, it's probably too late. So, like, I feel like there's a lot of those people that are fueling the other people that are like, yeah, I just want to be a part of this craziness, right? And that's like, I honestly feel like that's where it's at.
I'm just curious because for me, I mean, I certainly get your point about the younger demo, the 25s, the 35s, 45s, especially the mid-30s where, you know, you've finished school, you've been working for a while, you know, you still have there's still a hint of the echo of, oh, you can be anything you want, little prince or princess in your head, even though you've come to realize that's not entirely likely. It's the older generation. It's the millennials and the boomers, I guess, at this stage, if we're going to look at it, the Gen X rather, and the boomers that know better. We know that that's not the case, and they still go over to him in droves. You know, those are the ones that I still can't quite suss out. You know, I don't know.
Well, so like one of the effects that, if you're talking about like Gen X, let's talk about Gen X specifically, right?
Gen X is kind of useless. I speak for my generation in saying we did not. We've dropped many a ball.
Well, no, we have to think about the Gen X. We have to think about the Gen X group, right? And we have to kind of think of them as a whole. And you have to think about like most Gen Xers are about like 55 right now, right? Something like that, 50, 55. I'm like an older millennial or whatever, but I'm sort of the no man's land generation. But Gen Xers are between the ages of like 50 and 60, let's say. They're like right in that range, right? And those people already have had their kids. Those people were already commuting in cars listening to Rush Limbaugh. Those people were having later teenagers around the time when the Apprentice, the Trump TV show, was on TV every night, or after. Basically, like the Apprentice would come on after something important on TV was on. Was it like late TV news or something like that? I think it was like at the 8 o'clock time. So if you think about like the average American, they eat dinner between like 6 and 7:30. Then they turn on like the 7:30 news or Jeopardy or whatever the fuck it is. And then the 8 o'clock, you know, the 8 o'clock time slot, a lot of those people in that age range across the United States were just watching cable TV. And the Apprentice TV show where Donald Trump would yell at air quotes, and I say air quote celebrities because we're talking about D-listers, people that were like on a Survivor once or whatever. But he would
and Gary Busey weren't A-listers. Anyway, go on.
I mean, Gary Busey at one point was like probably an A-lister. Meatloaf was never an A-lister actor or anything. I mean, he was a musician. I mean, but
he was an actor. He was in Rocky Horror. Anyway, go on.
Well, but regardless of the quality of the celebrities that were on there, I don't want to argue who's famous or who's not, but
oh no, that was
my point is that Trump, air quote, he would fire them from the TV show, which, by the way, was a scripted, planned show, right? It was fake reality TV, right? It wasn't even reality TV. It was fake reality TV. And that Trump would essentially validated for a lot of people throughout the Midwest, the middle parts of the country, with the Apprentice TV show, which, by the way, that's where it was popular. So if anybody ever wants to be a piss baby and start crying at me about making fun of the flyover states or whatever, like, that's where the demographic was. That's where the show was popular. Y'all were watching it. I wasn't watching it. Flyover states were watching it. Kansas was watching The Apprentice, right? They would watch that show. What's that?
Oh, I said Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma.
Yeah. They would watch that show, and it pre-validated for those people Trump's authority, right? It pre-validated the fact that he had an authority over the leftist, communist, socialist scum of Hollywood, right? Which, by the way,
the fact that he was marketing himself as a Democrat at that point, but go on.
Well, which, by the way, was the talking points of Rush Limbaugh and the likes, was that all of these leftist scum are trying to convince your kids that being gay is okay, that being interracial marriages, oh my God, what? Right? Like, I don't understand why anyone would give a flying fuck if an Asian person and a black person got married, or a white person and a Chinese person. Why would anyone ever give a fuck what someone's skin color was in a marriage? But it used to be illegal in the United States, to be clear, up until 1965, you dumb fucks. Like, read a goddamn history book. Anyhow, like,
take it up with Clarence Thomas and
take
his
it up,
Asian wife now.
Take it up with Clarence Thomas with his white wife, by the way, who he also wants to outlaw.
Yep.
He wants to resegregate. He wants to resegregate marriages, which is a funny way for him to get a divorce. I would say that's a very weird, roundabout way. I think he should just tell her he wants a divorce and, and get it over with. Yeah. So yeah, it's one of those things that that show validated the authority for those people, that like, oh, Trump is an authority. He is an authority on firing people, and look at him, he's super competent and he's this and that. Like, oh, he's a good businessman. It's like he has no business that has thrived except for a TV show that was produced by a company that was not his company. Right? So that realistically is the sort of the historical linchpin as to like why Trump was even in a position to, because he'd run for president multiple times before. If anybody remembers that shit, Jon Stewart made fun of it in the year 2000 because it was fucking hilarious that he would even be running for president. Nobody voted for him. He also ran for president
2008.
2008, I think. Yeah. And it was considered a joke. Everyone just thought it was a fucking joke. And the unfortunate thing is that like because of that goofy ass TV show, it created this idea of validation that this guy was an authority for being smart, a good businessman, a billionaire. He's not going to be affected by anybody's opinions or this or that or the other thing. And you can literally see from the debate that his skin is less than paper thin. It is fucking like it is like a spring roll wrapper thin. And especially because he's fucking almost 80 years old, right? Which I forgot. I had forgotten, but I had remembered this earlier today that like, remember when Joe Biden wasn't qualified because he was too old, right? Old. Like Republicans kept saying that he was too old. He's too old. The fucking old guy.
He's only a year older than Trump.
I think he's 2 years older than Trump, but still.
Yeah, okay.
Trump is older Trump is older than Biden was when when he ran the first time. So where did that go? Where's MAGA on that now? Because this dude old as fuck. He's losing his mind. He never had a great mind to begin with, and it's deteriorating rapidly. And he has an inability to public speak that it's astounding if you actually listen to his public speaking stuff. He'll just go on for hours and hours about just total fucking nonsense that doesn't make any sense, just making shit up. I mean, it's I am tangent to tangent to tangent, but like I'm also not running for fucking office. You know what I mean? So it's like
you fact check yourself as you go, which puts you 10 steps ahead right there.
Yeah. Also, I don't even have a tie on, so let's get that straight, okay? I am trying to make it clear to people out there that like I love aquascaping, I love politics, I love reading, I love building things, I love doing construction, I love all this stuff, I love filming things, I love doing all this stuff. I'm a multi interested person. I'm interested in a lot of things, and you know, for the past like 5 years or so, even before that, you know, I worked with a company that was really like stifling my ability to just say whatever the fuck I wanted to say. Not that they specifically, up until there was a point where they made us sign paperwork, there wasn't a specific talking point type thing, but there definitely was like pressure applied to be like recommending products and this and that and the other thing. And so like, I just want people to understand that like I'm an actual person, and this is how I kind of like see things and whatnot. So it's kind of weird. So I got a weekend night shift job and a garage full of fish tanks. Hope everything works out okay. I won't be there. I don't know what that means, New Local Austin. What's the deal? I'm confused. New Local Austin has something. So I got a weekend night shift job and a garage full of fish tanks. Oh, maybe you're saying that like you won't be at the bar or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I gave that up years ago.
I think he's saying he won't be with his fish tanks to see what's going on with them.
Oh, I don't know. I'm confused. MAGA is notorious for setting double standards. Yes, for sure. Yeah, 100% agree. Zipgun says billionaires for a few decades have been paying for a lot of this. Like each one needs their own vanity propaganda network. Yes, that is true. Which is why I regularly have said that, like, why doesn't fucking Soros or Bezos or somebody like that, like, fucking cut me a check? But, you know, I guess we have to grow the show bigger to get on their gaydar or whatever. Voted for Trump in 2016 when I was freshly 18 and old enough to vote. I regretted it by mid-late 2019 when I actually started to pay a little more attention to politics. Yeah, and I mean, that's the reality is like a perfect example would be my grandma voted for George W. Bush the first time he ran. My grandma voted for George W. because she was like, no, he's a conservative, and I want a conservative to be president, and da-da-da-da, and it didn't matter what anybody said to her about how unqualified he was, about how much of a bumbling idiot he was, about how much of a war hawk he was, all that kind of stuff. And you know what? By the second time that George W. was running for re-election, my grandmother had made an appraisal and said, oh, I can't vote for that guy again. That's crazy. I'm voting for whoever ran against. I don't remember who ran against him off the top of my head, but you know, like it's a perfect example. And I think like as an example of a person, my grandmother is like a perfect example of somebody to gain more information and to change your mind, right? And to admit that like, oh, I made a mistake. That was a mistake. I learned more. I am going to reassess and change my mind and continue to move forward, right? And I think that, like, as an example, like I would hope that more people were having more examples of that in their lives, but I don't. That's the problem. Is like I don't have any access to that to like expose people to having a better grandma or whatever. But you know, it is what it is.
I thought of you this week when I went on TikTok for the very first time this week.
Mm-hmm.
I've managed to avoid it, but out of massive amounts of boredom, I went on at 2 in the morning, flipping through live streams, looking for something both in English and showing some basis of sentience. I found, speaking of flat Earth, a huge argument of flat earthers taking on anyone who believed in a globe, balanced out by a pretty interesting guy who is a Border Patrol officer who touts himself as one of the few, he says in his office, he's one of 2 Democrats in his Border Patrol office. And listening to him basically just call MAGAs on and bait them was fairly interesting. So I was terrified to see that there really are, I mean, I see flat Earth groups on Facebook and stuff, but I never buy into them or go and look at them. I just tend to think of them. But God, it was a very popular live stream at 2 in the morning. I was shocked.
Who was it?
Flat. Oh, I'll have to find it again. I didn't save him. I didn't save. I followed the Democratic Border Patrol guy, but the flat earthers I did not, because I couldn't bring myself to. I'll see if I can find them again, and I'll note it in the Discord at some point. But yeah, it was very odd. They were just going on and on and on, and if you came on and tried to talk science, it was suddenly, well, you don't know how science works. I'm like, okay. My favorite one was that water proves that the Earth is flat, because water would fall off the Earth if the Earth was round. Just in case you didn't know that.
Right.
So there you
go. All right. Well, I got to go to the bathroom. I hit the BRB thing. The cold is making me need to pee. I'll be back.
All right. Fish tank lights are perfect.
Oh, for those of you that stayed, we got a special treat.
Uh-oh.
Where's the button? There we go. Oh, we got Lucy. Lucy dog. Little, tiny Lucy dog is here. This is our newest dog. She was very excited when I came in. and she was like, I want to come with you. She's very zippy. She's very zany. And she's hiding behind the microphone. Hey. Are you scared? She seems to be scared since I brought her to the office. And she likes to hang out in my neck.
Shivering. Little girl.
She's not really a shiver dog that much. Ooh.
She's very cute. She's going to be a trail buddy, you think? She that zippy?
She better be. She better be, or we'll have to take her to dog jail.
No, not
We'll
doggy
end
jail.
up having to take her to doggy jail if she doesn't do the trails.
The fish tank lights are at the perfect level right now for the camera. You can actually see all the colors of the different plants. Can actually maybe see some details on Puppy when he chooses to show himself.
Well, he ate right before the show, so I think he's all...
There he is.
Yep, he's all fat back there.
Yellow
Being
tail.
a fish. Being a puffer
she
fish.
Is very cuddly.
She's a totally cuddly dog. But she does zip around about 900 miles an hour. She's really fast. When she gets the zoomies, she's super fast.
That's good.
She's a little cutie. They say that she's a chihuahua, but like she doesn't have like the smushed face. You know? She doesn't have like the smushed face.
Chihuahuas? Oh, with the super short turned up nose, like the teacups do. Yeah, she's not an applehead.
No. So I don't know.
I guess there's a mix in there somewhere. But she's all terror. She's gonna be a little digger. Terriers love to dig. You guys have had chihuahuas before, though, yeah?
Our dogs are chihuahuas.
There you go.
Chihuahuas. I'm gonna send her into the house and see if she sees if there's any mice under there or anything. But yeah, this is Lucy. She's the newest member. She's basically the replacement dog. For replace Biddy Brown's, one of our favorite dog ever, Biddy Brown, who everybody misses. And I told the story last week of why we got this dog. Vicky bought Lucy from a Mexican guy at Home Depot, and like I said, now I've seen it all. But she's a cute little dog, and she's doing her best to be potty trained. Which yesterday we had some breakthroughs where she's going out the dog door on her own and going potty on her own. So some early breakthroughs in the training, even though there's been dog pee around, having to clean that up all the time. So yeah. All right. But it's 4 o'clock. So I got to go. I got to go get my daughter from daycare before they upcharge me. Hit like and subscribe or something. I don't know.
Blah, blah. Blah, blah.